Today's conference call, the title of the call is Know Your Stuff. Now, I believe without question, service advisors make the difference with the performance of service and parts department profitability. The day of handing a service advisor a pen and saying, "There's your terminal," should be well behind us. The lack of training in service advisors allows for processes to never be standardized. The new advisor has no idea of what a good or reasonable request is from a client, and therefore learns how to be an advisor by making mistakes with our customers. Today we're going to look at this in more detail and determine some real positive ways to make a difference with your service advisor staff. They should always know their stuff. During my time as fixed ops director, I know this sounds maybe hard to imagine, but I personally read every service bulletin that came into the dealership. After I read the bulletin, I would hand it around to every advisor and ask them to initial it after they read it. Now, the reason I did that, it was a great help. When advisors at the desk were aware of the different issues with the vehicles. I know one time I was walking through the advisor desk and a customer was talking about his Corvette on the fuel tank indicator gauge was erratic. Intermittently it'd be erratic. And he was so impressed when I said, "Oh yeah, I just read a bulletin on that. Check for the bulletin." And then the repair order might mention that bulletin number and might even have a copy of that bulletin that they got in advance. Now, I'm not telling you that I ever want service advisors to be diagnosing work. I do not. But when they're aware of the different issues and it rings a bell, it sure is a convenient way to improve technician efficiency, productivity, customer satisfaction. Fixed right the first time, I could go on and on. Nothing reduces your customer satisfaction index more than trying to fix a concern that is considered normal by the manufacturer. I'm sure everyone has seen those ROs come in and advisor writes it up and comes to the technician. Technician looks at the vehicle, checks manufacturer's blows a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even more, and then comes back in as they didn't even fix it. I've seen times where they brought repair orders in so often on the same car, they're going for lemon law. Well, when they get their survey, are they going to have a lot of good things to say about you? But yet we don't even encourage any of this to a normal advisor situation. All advisors should know the standard operations of vehicles that are sold in the dealership so that they can illustrate to a customer how the vehicle is operated. I understand that that's supposed to be performed by the salesperson in the delivery of the vehicle. The reality is this doesn't happen. And cars are so much more complicated. There isn't really an expectation that everything's going to be covered. I had one not that long ago, and this is an admission that, hey, I don't take the owner's manual out and read every function and every detail. But in my new car delivery, my latest new car delivery, I know that I was finding out more stuff driving the vehicle than the salesperson was showing me the car was capable of doing. Simple things like I know that it was my first vehicle with a remote start from the factory. Well, wouldn't that have been nice for the guy to show me how the remote start functions? Instead, I got some illustrations. I said, man, my last vehicle had motion seats where the seats would give me a back rub, massage my back when I'm driving down the road, push a button. Oh, yeah, I don't know why they stopped making those motion seats. The car had it. The car had motion seats. Now, I can download weather radar and look at the weather, but not because the salesperson showed me. He did hook my phone up and do some connection stuff there, and I'm not criticizing the sales department. But when it comes in, it could come in and say, hey, my remote start isn't working. Well, you have to push this button and then this button twice. Functions normally. We need to have a professional advisor staff that takes the time to know how the vehicle works, how it's supposed to function, be able to illustrate that to the customer when they come in and they don't know. This is the responsibility we need to take on. Now, I understand advisors are the bulletins are electronic now, and they come out. There are hundreds and hundreds of bulletins, and I'm not telling you that was an easy task, and I don't even know what process you would use right now, except to say that I would prefer a weekly meeting where issues like this were discussed, or standardized training that the advisors are learning all they can about how the cars that they sell in the dealership function. The more you do with this, the more standard it is. It's so evident and obvious what that'll do to help your customers get their needs met. Another thing that I found over the years is we need to know, the advisors need to know, what is the benefit. When I travel around the country and I look at poor performing labor operations, believe me, I do, across the United States, it is a common thread that everybody needs to be aware of. Most advisors don't understand the products they sell well enough to make a professional presentation to a customer. And if you're in this mode, you could have the best packages, $30,000, $60,000, $90,000. We're recommending a good, better, best approach. But if your advisors don't know what the benefit is to the customer, why are we doing it? You come out and go, oh, you're due for a 60,000-mile service. That's $852.46. Should we do that for you today? You're there by miles. That isn't good enough. That is not a good enough presentation. Or this. Hey, you're due for a trainee service. It's $186.40. I remember one example. I was at a dealership and I asked an advisor to sell me a road force balance. Now, those of you that they're not familiar with road force, Hunter has a great piece of equipment. It's a road force balance machine, Hunter 9600, and the machine sells for right around $16,000 now with all the bells and whistles. $16,000. But what this balance machine will do for you is incredible. It'll actually locate the exact place the tire should be. It'll locate the exact place and the weight of the wheel weights, where to put them and how much to put them. It'll balance the tire as though it was driving down the road. Nothing can be better than that. $16,000 machine. So I asked the service advisor, sell me a Road Force Balance. And the lady turned her head to the service manager and says, sell Rob a Road Force Balance. Tell him why he should get that operation done. Well, when I looked at the labor op frequency of Road Force Balance, guess what I found? A $16,000 machine, and they're not selling Road Force balancing. Incredible piece of equipment. Basically, no better or different than a standard balance machine. That's the only reason they were using it. Does this make sense? Wouldn't it be nice if the advisor was up to date on the reasons that you would want a Road Force Balance? Why you want that kind of perfection in your $1,100 tire? I've asked different people at different things, sell me a transmission service. They don't even have an idea why. Well, it's not recommended in the manual, so owner's manual goes, the fluid lasts forever now. The transmission's sealed, and I would challenge that and ask, well, how much fluid is in that transmission? Don't know. There's no stick. What's the condition of the fluid? There's no gauge. Preventive maintenance isn't a waste of money. What is evident to me, if your advisors aren't up to speed with what the feature and the benefit is, you're not going to sell it very much. And worse than that, you'll probably never ask the customer for the sale. Now, I hope that you take the information we're talking about today and make a change in your dealership, a change that embraces feature benefit presentations, that embraces the different reasons and service bulletins and different issues we're having, that embraces how the car is supposed to function when it's brand new from the manufacturer. The dealership that takes this and installs these processes as a standard practice will have the rewards of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Believe me, I did just on the labor operation frequency, work on featured benefit, and in one location, 3 labor ops generated over $100,000. 3 labor ops, $100,000. But that isn't the reason I want everyone to implement this. The reason I want everyone to perform these standard practices into your dealership is it's the right way for your dealership to provide maximum customer care. You see, when you provide the maximum customer care, the money follows that. Thank you for your time. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.
When a technician comes up, and picture this, we've all seen it, technician comes up to the parts counter. If that technician is told, I do not have your part, let's go through the process then of what goes down that line. The technician immediately might go, well, when can we get it? Well, I can have that, I'll track it down and we'll have that for you in 3 hours. So what's he do? Goes back to the bay. He has 3 more cars to pull in before he goes to lunch, right? So puts it back together. He re-puts everything back together. If it's brake pads he's waiting on, put the wheels back on, drop it down, pull it out. Who pays them for that? Isn't that more the time loss that we're talking about? So then the vehicle goes out, puts it somewhere, comes back into the shop, and then the parts are here. Then he disassembles it again, puts it back together. I've actually done a lot of homework on this, and I've calculated, and this is conservative. I'm very conservative with this. 15-minute lost production time per incident is an average. And I've had people say that's low. Maybe if I redid this, it might be as high as 20 minutes an item. And a typical small dealership will have 200 of these experiences a month. Now, it doesn't take much calculation to go, OMG, is this a huge